Let's have a party. Let's have a party. We about to get to it.
Under center is Dak Prescott. Dropping the throw. It's a blitz. Dribbles out of there. The Jags are going to get him. They're going to sack him inside the 10-yard line. Harden King out of it in.
Highlights from a dramatic Sunday here at TIAA Bank Field. A lot of folks still basking in the glow of that. One that found out today, or will find out, Rayshawn Jenkins just named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. A week after, the quarterback was named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. You know things are going right for your football team when week in and week out your players are vying for top honors. Welcome in. It's a Wednesday. Jags getting set to head later this morning to New York to take on the Jets on Thursday Night Football. We bring in John Oehser. We have to begin with this piece of news if you have not seen it. NFL Hall of Fame running back Franco Harris passed away last evening, and we are 2 days shy of the league's 50th anniversary celebration, which was coming on Saturday night at halftime of the Steelers-Raiders game, which, if you don't know the Immaculate Reception, Google it, find it. It is the significant play in NFL history, the best play when it was voted in the 100th season as the greatest play of all time. And Franco, 9 Pro Bowls, Hall of Fame, 4 Super Bowl rings, Super Bowl MVP, and passes 2 days shy of the actual anniversary and 3 days shy of the Steelers doing what they don't really do, which is retiring jerseys. And they were putting number 32 to rest, and they will lay Franco Harris to rest in the very near future.
Yeah, if you're of our era, Brian, and grew up on the NFL, I hated the Steelers. I mean, hated them with a passion because they were so good, and they were there every year. And Franco Harris, I was 6 years old when he started to get hot in '72, and I can remember highlights. One of him running down the sidelines as a rookie. He was really good as a rookie. That was his rookie year. He was really good, and a big reason that the Steelers, all of a sudden, after years of being irrelevant, were all of a sudden good. And then of course the play. And I can remember I was living in Seattle, Washington. I was 6 years old, and I was a fan of the Washington football team, who I think were playing the next day against the Green Bay Packers. And they were in the playoffs for the first time. So playoffs were a big deal. You're a kid. The NFL wasn't what it was now, but if you were into it, it was great. And there was a Steelers fan, and the family lived sort of down the alley not alley, but down the valley from where we lived in the apartment. And when that play happened, I just remember we had gone outside to play, whatever we were playing, and the kid had come outside because the game was over.
Yeah.
I mean, there were 13 seconds left. And all of a sudden you heard from inside his apartment his dad going crazy. I mean, and it was a seminal moment. If you could imagine the Jaguars not making the playoffs for 50 years, getting in and having that play happen to win you the game, Hail Mary! That was your call, right?
Yeah, well, and that one didn't have any of the significance of it. It was again, the greatest play as voted on by media and players in the 100th anniversary season. And
I never knew Franco, Brian. I never had a chance to meet him. But people that I know well who did know him talk about what a kind, gentle, fantastic person he was. I know Vic Ketchman, my predecessor, covered Franco and always spoke highly of him. Everybody around him spoke highly of him, so rest in peace.
I met him once or twice where he was around the Steelers and came to Jacksonville for a Steelers game once. Rest in peace, Franco Harris. So let's get going with big things here on a Wednesday-Thursday show. We're going to combine some things. You'll see about that in a moment. Let's talk about the road already traveled for the Jaguars this year. Gut-wrenching losses. They had them. You remember them, the Commanders' loss on opening day where they gave up the fourth quarter touchdown. That seemed to be a theme. It happened over and over. The Colts did the same thing. After Trevor Lawrence gave the Jags the win with 2 minutes to play, went right down the field. Same thing a couple weeks later in London. And it felt that way when Dak Prescott put the Cowboys ahead with just over 3 minutes to play. But all those gut-wrenching losses gave this team something that they could lean on.
I think we had to go through some learning, curves on how to handle adversity. I think we handled it pretty well. We never wavered. It's always been we got to finish, just like how we treat the game. The game doesn't end until it says 0-0-0-0 on the clock. And as long as we have a little time on the clock, we always have a chance to win. And that's how we looked at it throughout the season as well. And I think that's that's been our message all year. And I think it's going to continue to be the message till we get to where we need to get to.
Big thing, too, the road ahead. Stay with the travel theme right here. That is the Jaguars are in control of their playoff future. So tired of the word destiny right now, I can't even tell you. So I won't say playoff destiny. They're in control of their playoff futures. Win, and you're in, and that's something that this team has a lot of confidence in.
Jets head coach we know what he's like, and we know he's going to bring to the table. We know how he's going to inspire his guys, and I know they have a little bit of the quarterback situation, but I think White and Wilson are both very, very capable, great players. And so it's just going to be a matter of us preparing the way we need to throughout the week, understanding the elements maybe. Their home turf, I know they're going to be hungry for a win. It's this part of the season where, like, this is where it's fun, not saying it's not fun in the beginning, but, it's going to come down to who wants it more, who's going to execute, and we get to see what we're made of down the stretch. And I'm very confident in the men that I'm going to battle with.
And the big thing 3 that we've been waiting for, short road this week, and that's the turnaround from Sunday to Thursday. Look, if you're around this game at all, you understand that players are just starting to get their legs back in a normal week around Thursday, starting to feel good and be ready to go. That is not something they have the luxury of waiting for this week, and the head coach knows that's the biggest challenge.
Biggest challenge is getting as many guys healthy, and because you're on the practice field today, you're on the practice field tomorrow, which are typically rest days, for your players, and you've just come off a game where there's 70 plus plays and physical football game, and we're right back, we're right back in the classroom, we're right back on the practice field. So, the message to the team is number one, let's get healthy this week. Let's spend as much time as we can, in the building, in the training room, whatever you got to do, in the cold tubs, hot tubs, whatever it is, and get your bodies right, and then just understanding the game plan.
In his head coaching career, Doug is 6-0 on Thursday night games, so short week. So obviously, he's had a plan that has worked for him. We were on the practice field yesterday, and they were going through a practice with no pads on whatsoever at half speed. It's that walk through, get some of the soreness out, get the mental side of the game, which is where I'm going with this. This week, it's about the mental side, because that's where the practice really is.
I haven't really looked at who he's beaten on Thursday night, what the circumstances were, but I would guess that it helps Doug's teams in this situation that he always takes a pretty simple approach, and he believes strongly. I really talked to him about this. My impression is he believes strongly in all through the season keeping legs fresh, not overworking. Remember all the angst about
Canceling OTAs?
Well, canceling the mini camp, like the last 3 days of mini camp for the veterans because they wouldn't be, Yeah. But things like that, there have been a few cases where he could have worked this team harder, and it's just sort of, now the legs are the most important thing. He was an ex-player. So, would he be, 6-0? Had he done something different than that? I don't know. But I don't think that hurts on a week like this, that just over the course of time, he believes in keeping these guys fresher.
Let's go back to the top and big thing 1, and that is this is a team that could not win those close games. We talked about one-score games at the end and learning to win, and now it's a dramatic turnabout, right? I mean, the Chiefs was not a close game. The Lions was not a close game, but the Raiders was. Mm-hmm. The Ravens was. The Titans was at one point in the game, and then, of course, last week we've seen it. This team's transformation, and this is the point Josh Allen made, and Evan Ingram made it to me the other day in the locker room, is we've been there, we've witnessed it, we've experienced it, we've had to overcome it, and now we know what it takes to win a close game, which is important for tomorrow night because you figure in those weather conditions, the game's going to be close all the way through.
Yeah, it feels like a play that's going to, a game that's going to get decided on a few plays, a few big plays. It scares you a little bit because Zach Wilson, the Jets quarterback, the one thing that he has done very well is explosive plays down the field with wet conditions, a cornerback slipping. That those sort of things can play into a game like this. It's not just a stat what you're talking about, Brian, the one-score thing. They also their first 6 losses all by a score or less. They led in all of them. They led in the first half. I mean, in the second half, I think of 4 of them. And I don't know if that stat's right, but it feels that. You know what I mean? I mean, like it's close to that. Not only are they winning these close games now, down by 17, down by 17, down by 7, down by 9. They've overcome significant deficits to win all of them. We talked, and fans rolled their eyes for 8 weeks when Doug would said, we're learning how to win. Well, they learned.
Yeah. And here we are at the end of the season, and they're learning what it takes now with every game feeling like it's a playoff game. All right, as I mentioned, we have a combination of Wednesday and Thursday shows for you today. So when we return, he will, he won't, he might. This is Wednesday morning drive time from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, and we're back right after this. A Dream Finder's home is an amazing way to celebrate the holidays. Unwrap your family's future in a new St. Johns County community like Shearwater or Beacon Lake as 2022 comes to a close and 2023 awaits. What could be better than an expertly built, energy-efficient, move-in ready Dream Finder's home to enjoy everything that makes the holiday season merry and bright? How about an interest rate lock special from Dream Finders, which will secure your new home at a big savings? It's the holiday gift that keeps on giving. Happy holidays to all from Dream Finders Homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gates frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Welcome back. Wednesday morning drive time is brought to you by Jet Home Loans and, of course, our friends at Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And I'm sure a lot of you, including all of me, will be at Publix a lot the next couple of days, getting ready for the Christmas weekend. Before we get there, though, a big Thursday night game against the Jets. Before we get there, he will, he won't, he might. And you're going to the defensive side to get things started.
Yeah, I went with Josh Allen, and I could have gone with a lot of guys on the defense. He will, and this is kind of tongue-in-cheek, he'll be in coverage every now and then. And
25 yards downfield on the tight end.
Everybody is sort of killing Mike Caldwell for having Josh Allen back in coverage. The reality is, if you're going to play a 3-4 scheme, your outside linebackers, which he's an outside linebacker in the scheme. He's not a defensive end. There are going to be situations where the other team can scheme you into him being in coverage. So it's just a reality. It can look ugly, but that's just sort of how the defense plays out. If they don't want to do that, then they need to get away from that scheme. So that's just the nature of the scheme. The real he will, he won't, he might is he will have help. And I think that's what is really significant about this pass rush now. You've got a bunch of guys on the front where Josh Allen doesn't have to be the only guy making plays. You've got Arden Key, you've got Smoot. So I think that has been significant in that the pass rush last couple of weeks has felt like a team thing, a little more coming at you in waves. He won't put too much pressure on himself. And I think that was a deal 3 or 4 games ago. It felt like because he was struggling to get that sack, that he felt like every play needed to be a sack. And if, that can weigh on you. You talk to him a lot. I talk to him a lot. Yep. He's I had an email 2 or 3 weeks ago from somebody saying it's clear to me that Josh Allen doesn't want to be in Jacksonville, and he's playing poorly so that he can get out of Jacksonville. He doesn't want to be here.
It's a bit of a reach.
Well, but one thing you can't question about Josh Allen is his desire to be. I mean, he wants this, and he's working hard at it. So I think he's past the point of putting too much pressure on himself, and he might. Again, we say a lot about him. He might have turned the corner a little bit. I don't know if he's going to be a 15-sack guy in this league, but he's sort of broken through a little bit. He's making the plays. It's coming to him a little bit. I say it a lot, but he might be the guy to get the turnover, the big play this week that matters on national TV, on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if that's the case. I'll say this. I think that as Trayvon Walker gets back on the field and in a year from now is making more plays and drawing more attention, you'll see more from Josh Allen. Arden Key had a tremendous game last week.
Yeah, and I could have gone, though. I mean, Arden Key, I almost felt bad as I was starting it because Arden Key is a guy who probably deserves recognition, all that.
But as those guys get their plays, Josh gets his.
Yeah, Arden Key, you talk about good free agents.
They had a good free agent class this year.
He's been a really good signing.
All right, let's go to mine, which is Walker Little, and he will be challenged this week. The Jets did not get a sack last week and fell from 4th in the league to 8th with 39 sacks, but they have an aggressive front, and they'll see 72 and say, let's challenge him. Carl Lawson brings it off the edge. The rookie Jermaine Johnson is a guy who can bring some pressure. Expect Robert Saleh and that scheme to move to that side and really challenge Walker Little. He won't be caught napping. He won't be unaware of what's going on. And he won't be a guy who can't handle the pressure that comes his way. I talked to him in the locker room yesterday. He understands. I tried to take him places, extra preparation, more conversation. He said it's the same old thing every week, that there is an expectation from Phil Rauscher and the entire offensive line that everyone, to Blake Hance, right, who's never played for the Jaguars yet, that if their number is called, that they step in. And so he's been ready to play. So he won't be overmatched. He might be starting on a lot of teams around the league. He has tremendous footwork. When you watch him on the practice field and the limited portion that we get to see, he's a fluid athlete for a guy who's so big, and he's so flexible, can get so low in his stance, and can be explosive. I think we might find a guy who has a lot to offer. And you don't ever want to see a guy like Cam Robinson leave, because Cam is a big part of what you do, but Walker Little is ready for the challenge.
Brian, remember, I guess with experience, you sort of see things and you pull back from. But during the preseason, everybody was talking about the team's lack of depth. Oh, they don't make depth. They don't make depth. They don't make depth. Well, they have depth in the offensive line.
Yeah.
Because,
normally, you lose the left tackle, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and credit this team for having Shatley available, for not thinking that you can go into the season with 5 offensive linemen. There was I get questions in the Ozone all the time when the depth chart comes out. Automatically, whoever's not starting, trade him. Oh, you should trade him. You should get value. Well, that's a August conversation, and people often forget that NFL reality is you usually lose guys. You can't go into seasons with 22 players. You have to go into it with 28, 30, 32 players. Walker Little, a second-round draft pick. Honestly, there's not supposed to be a drop-off right now. There's not supposed to be a crisis on the offensive line. When you put a second-round draft pick from a year ago, it's supposed to be fine. Maybe not as good, but not a crisis.
The offensive line's starting a rookie at center. They've got a backup left guard. And by the way, Ben Barch was playing really well when he left the game weeks ago now. And your left tackle is now out, and you're replacing him with a young guy that didn't win either of the starting jobs in training camp this year. And yet, there's really no sense that they're in trouble. And Phil Rauscher has done a tremendous job. The Jaguars have allowed 24 sacks this season. And in the last 3 games, they've allowed 3 sacks. 1 in the last 2. 6 games this year, no sacks. The offensive line is a strength. Could it be better? It could be stronger.
Sure.
How many times have we stood on the practice field and talked about what a season, an off season in the weight room will do for this particular group? But
and
it's offensive
continuity
line.
under the same coach. I mean, it'll get better, but again, I don't sense that they believe this is a crisis moment.
No. When we come back on Jags Drive Time on a Wednesday morning, This or That, presented by Price.com. Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by our friends at VyStar. VyStar, do good, bank better. Back after this. This holiday season, unwrap a brand new Dreamfinders home. You'll enjoy everything that makes the holidays merry and bright with family and friends in an expertly built, energy-efficient Dreamfinders home. What could be better than calling one of St. Johns County's magnificent communities such as Shearwater, Beacon Lake, or Silverleaf home as 2022 comes to a close and an exciting new year begins. Plus, with an interest rate lock special from Dreamfinders Homes, the timing is perfect to be in a gorgeous move-in ready home. Happy holidays to all from Dreamfinders Homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Jags fans, this is Shaquille Griffin. I'm going to share some of my secrets for competing in the NFL. First, the field is no place for hunger. Growing up, I got big and strong eating boiled peanuts. Today, our team is serious about fueling our bodies, and that means popping open some protein-packed peanuts from Luray's Peanuts. It's the same boiled peanut flavor I used to love eating as a kid, but with superfood nutrition that lets me tear it up on the field. Pick Luray's boiled peanuts at all Jaguar home games, or pick up a few bags at the grocery store and fuel up at home.
At VyStar Credit Union, you inspire them to go the extra mile to meet your financial needs. That's why they offer Jaguars fans more banking options like better rates and no hidden fees. Their team is also dedicated to making the communities they serve stronger, volunteering their time and talents while donating millions to local nonprofits. VyStar Credit Union, VyStarCU.org. Go Jags!
Now, Price.com is the easiest way for you to save money with comparison shopping, cashback, coupons, all in one. It's free. Try Price.com today.
This or that. This or that.
Here's a little familiarity for you on a Wednesday. This or That, presented by Price.com. John.
This or that, better free agent signing, better receiver for this team, Christian Kirk or Zay Jones. And, I guess I chose it because I'm not sure there's an answer.
You could add Evan Ingram into that conversation as well.
Yeah, you could, except it's this or that, not this or that or that. So
Agreed.
I just went this or that. I don't know. I think a month ago you'd have assumed it was a given that it was Christian Kirk. Now I've got people who write the ozone saying Zay Jones is the best free agent. So it's whoever's hot at the moment. I say there's no answer, Brian.
I would agree with you.
Yeah,
and I would say you could put Ingram into it. You realize these guys have the three guys at the top, and John. Nobody is more critical of free agency as a way of building a roster than you. You are always a voice of reason when they start spending money to talk about how you don't build the roster through that. But Zay Jones leads this team with receptions. Christian Kirk leads it in yardage. Evan Ingram has had incredible catches the last few weeks. Combined, they have 205 catches, more than 2,000 receiving yards and 16 touchdowns. Pick one. What a tremendous free agent class this has turned out to be.
And you rarely see it. It's always, again, so often that you get guys who either, once they get here, you feel like they don't want to be here. They sign for the money. It's not a fit. They're not cultural fits. All those things that we've seen a million times in free agency. It's why it's so hard. And every one of these guys feels like a drafted rookie, if you know what I mean.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
And you've talked to guys over the years. There are guys who is free agents when they retire or leave the game, they feel like Jaguars. And it's not all the time. A lot of guys come here and they're gone. And they never, like Shaq Griffin, for example. My guess is when he retires,
he'll be a Seahawk.
He'll feel like a Seahawk, because of circumstances. And you know what I'm getting at. All three of these guys, when you talk to them, Paz signed here, and I think he would tell you he feels like a Jag.
Yeah.
All three of these guys feel like that's a possibility, and that's very unusual to have that cultural feel, production feel for it to work like this.
When you play in free agency like the Jaguars have had to, because there have been so many misses in the draft, I mean, you're hoping to hit on one or two.
Yep.
But if you look at the last two free agent classes, how about the way that Roy Robertson Harris has been flashing the last 3 weeks? He's made huge plays. 4 weeks, right? Rayshawn Jenkins is the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. I mean, Shaq Griffin is the lone man that was a screw-up, right, in the last two free agent classes. These guys have really fallen into place and are contributing. Even Darius Williams, who didn't look like he was up to the money that they spent when they moved him outside 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden now he's only allowed 2 catches and is playing at a high level.
And we haven't talked a lot about Rayshawn because we talked about him so much on Monday. A couple of things. If he hadn't been Player of the Week, you may as well just cancel the award. I'm not sure. Like I wrote and said a couple of times, if somebody had beaten him, I want to watch that game.
Yeah,
because it'd been a heck of a game. So good for him. And even I did No Zone podcast with Rayshawn this off season, I think, and it struck me that this is a guy who really wants to be here. It didn't seem to have last year jaded everybody, but he wasn't really on his way to run out the door, if you follow me.
Yes.
He was so committed to this. And I think he'll be, it's interesting to me that so many veterans feel like they're Jaguars here. And I'm sure some of it's the success they've had the last couple of weeks that jades you or that skews you in that direction. But I think it's a theme, and it's credit to Doug Peterson, credit to these guys that it's come together in that way.
All right, I'll go with this one for you, and this is seasonal, obviously, with Christmas coming up on Sunday. What would you rather have? Tomorrow night's primetime game in New York with the playoffs on the line, the bright lights of the biggest stage in the league, or would you rather be playing this one Saturday at 1 o'clock? I mean, obviously the trade-offs here are, hey, Saturday at 1 o'clock, you're playing on Christmas Eve, and it eats up a big amount of family time, and these guys are going to get 3 days off because of the Thursday night game. But maybe you're a little healthier, you feel a little bit better. What would you? Is this what you want this week? Prime time, Thursday night, and all that comes with that, or would you rather have the 1 o'clock game on Saturday?
This is kind of a cop-out answer, but most coaches will tell you this. You want the Thursday game if you win.
Yeah.
Because then you get the benefits of it. It's cool, and then you get that time off. I enjoy the Thursday game because I don't mind the short week. It gives you a couple of days off. For somebody covering it like us, it's fantastic.
Right.
For the players, as I've gotten to know players over the years, understand what they go through to get ready. I think Thursday games are a cruel necessity for the players.
Well, there's a lot of money involved now. I think it's $1 billion a year package just for the Thursday night game. The other side of the coin is are they at a competitive disadvantage because the Jets aren't traveling?
Yeah,
because the Jaguars are turning around and traveling on Wednesday.
Yeah, there are those who would say it's the case. I would like Brian them, and I know they can't do this, but it would be a good thing if the league really worked harder to give teams a bye before the Thursday game, and that would take a lot of the physical strain off a lot of them. The only problem with that is if you almost have to do it for both teams, or one of them is at such a disadvantage. But they'll never do that because they don't listen to Johnny yet. and it's also impossible. But other than that, they should do it.
All right. We'll leave it at that. We'll come back with Friday's headlines today to wrap up a Wednesday edition of Jags Drive Time from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. Back after this. A Dream Finder's home is an amazing way to celebrate the holidays. Unwrap your family's future in a new St. Johns County community like Shearwater or Beacon Lake as 2022 comes to a close and 2023 awaits. What could be better than an expertly built, energy-efficient, move-in ready Dream Finder's home to enjoy everything that makes the holiday season merry and bright? How about an interest rate lock special from Dream Finders, which will secure your new home at a big savings? It's the holiday gift that keeps on giving. Happy holidays to all from Dream Finders Homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gates Frequent Shopper Clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
Jags fans, it's Shaquille Griffin of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know you love when we put the QB in his place with a big interception, and now Luray Boyd Peanut Company is making every pick a winning play with the Peanut Pickoff. Every time the Jaguars make a pick, Luray Peanuts is going to donate to youth football initiatives throughout the Southeast, and the Jaguars Foundation will match every dollar. We get one play closer to victory, and our kids get to train for a brighter future. Everyone wins, except for the other team's QB. But hey, that's his problem.
Well, for 9 years, Dreamfinders Homes has been proud to call themselves the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all their available inventory and a holiday special. Go Jaguars.
Our job is to change culture. Our job is to, promote a winning culture and a winning atmosphere. And it's obviously it doesn't come overnight. It's not a quick fix, as you guys know. And I think what the players and the team have done this year in 4 games to go 2-2, when trailing 17 points is huge. It shows us and shows them that we're flipping this culture and this narrative. And you can't worry about the past, obviously, but we can learn from it. And it's really good to see that the guys they've bought into that, and they really haven't. Even the guys that have been here, multiple years, I think are in a different place mentally than they were, just a few years ago. So that's a really good thing that's going on.
Head coach Doug Peterson, that was Monday, and I threw it in because you and I had a conversation on the way off the practice field yesterday where we compared Doug and his demeanor, the way he goes about things, to a guy you covered and a guy that I admire, and I'm sure all of our viewers do as well, Tony Dungy. And I've said it before that Tony Dungy is that even-keeled guy, right? I mean, nothing bothers him. I remember here in 2006, the Jags ran for 375 yards, and I went to his post-game news conference because I wanted to hear how he was going to explain that, right? Here was a team with Super Bowl aspirations. And he said, it's no problem.
Right.
We'll fix it. And they did, and they won the Super Bowl, right? Since then, I've always admired that even keel, and that's what Doug is.
Well,
he's so even.
I haven't done the research that I need to. But if you remember, Doug, the year that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they lost Carson Wentz. And the season's over. I mean, they were the top seed, but the narrative when they lost Carson Wentz was that's it.
Yeah.
And then they go in the Super Bowl. Relatively similar thing to what you're talking about with Tony. And the next 2 years, and I wasn't covering the Eagles, so I don't know it intrinsically, but the Eagles had to sort of come back each of the next 2 years from rocky starts. They were always a team that navigated the end of the season and got there with games on the line and games that mattered. Not really that surprising that he's held this team together and got them into situations. He has a knack for getting teams in situations where they have a chance to go do it. Interesting factoid on this game, Brian. If the Jaguars win and the Titans lose this week, in terms of the AFC South, the Jaguars game next week doesn't matter. Because they will be in a situation where even if they lose to the Texans,
right,
it's winner take all. The Jaguars can't clinch the South before that last game, by the way, because they can't get far enough ahead of the Titans.
Right.
And so this game matters very much. If the Titans would happen to lose, the Jaguars won't rest players next week because there's wild card stuff, but it takes the pressure off of that game. I thought that was interesting.
Don't you know, and we were standing on the practice field yesterday talking with some folks, just like what a position this team could be in had they won one or two more of those games. And it was just idle conversation. It wasn't as if they're hanging their hat on that excuse. But where this team could be, And again, you can have this philosophical conversation. They wouldn't be where they are if they hadn't gone through what they did, right?
And I mean, you make a strong case. A couple of their wins, Baltimore, Dallas, were by a thread.
Yeah.
So those could have easily gone the other way. They earned them. I'm not taking them away from them. But in the NFL, it's really tough to go back
and say,
well, if they'd have done this, if they'd have done this. So
it's easy, though, to go forward and say, if this, then that. If the Jaguars win, their 3 remaining games, no matter what the Titans do the next 2 weeks, the Jaguars win the AFC South. All right, it is time for Friday's headlines today. Here's what we think a theoretical headline would look like after the Jaguars' primetime game against the Jets. You want to go?
Well, Brian, I've been picking against them all season, and they've gotten to this point. So
you're going to stick with that?
Out of whatever that is, superstition for fans not to get mad at me, I'm going to say whoops.
Okay.
They slipped up in New York. That's my official pick.
Official.
I'm couching it by saying I don't feel as strongly about it. I think there's a good chance they go up and handle it. The thing that worries you about this game is the weather, the Jets' defense. If the Jaguars sort of stumble a little bit early like they've been doing, could the Jets get a break or two offensively, get ahead of it, make the weather tough to get back into it? So my official pick is whoops.
Okay.
With a smile, because I think
next year we need to get the guys in digital to create a graphic and a headline for us, and we'll keep score as we go through.
Right.
Just for fun, right? Mine is going to be in typical New York Post style, and it'll be mistletoed and have a picture of Riley Patterson kicking the ball as he kicks the game-winning field goal, because I think you realized last weekend you had 2 AFC South games that went to overtime. And 2 AFC South games, the Colts game in Minnesota on Saturday and the Titans game in L.A. on Sunday, that were decided by a field goal on the final play of the game. I think that's the case. I think the Jaguars win by a field goal, and it says mistletoed as the Jaguars leave New York with the gang green feeling grinchy.
The interesting thing to watch this week is where Tennessee is. They lost 4 in a row. They fought last week. It's just going to be interesting to see how their season plays out. Again, the Jaguars are going to have to win that last game. There's no getting around that. It's going to be dramatic. But you just kind of wonder where they are right now. They're certainly sort of slipping as the Jaguars get better. And
where's their quarterback?
Yeah.
Because he left the game, he came back, but he hasn't been practicing this week.
But the reality is they're a dangerous, tough team. And when you've got to beat them, if that happens, they're tough.
All right. Tough. That's the nature of the game. It'll be tough on Thursday night in those weather conditions, but the Jaguars have become tough-minded since the beginning of November. That's when things start to swing. Jags 4-2 in the most critical stretch of an NFL season, November into December. We'll see if they can keep it going for John Oehser and Joe Fortunato and David Cho and Brett Reber.
And Brian, Merry Christmas. Because we won't talk to
Happy holidays.
Anybody before that. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day. An exciting day tomorrow as we get ready for primetime football.